Hey guys, so this is a common question I get and that gets shared and tossed around on online communities. Will whatever EC or extracurricular activity that you are considering, will it look good to admissions officers? Okay, so that will be the topic for today's video. I'll give you the short answer first. No, it won't, because cowards don't look good to anyone and not to admissions officers either. Long answer? Story time. My high school had an amazing forensic speech and debate program. We were strong across the board. We had competitors in basically everything: interpretation, the speech events, the limited prep events, all the debates. And for the entire decade before I joined the forensics team in my school, my school produced district champions every year and state champions most years. We also sent qualifiers to nationals every year and even had some finalists. Now, by the way, we were a public school, so and actually it was kind of an interesting period in the history of Las Vegas, or in that particular neighborhood in Las Vegas, but our student body was very economically and racially mixed, and I was one of the poor Asian kids. My freshman year, I actually didn't even know about forensics. Actually, on the first day of freshman year, I didn't even know where my school was. So I actually had to go to the school website, look up the address. Take that address, I had to go into a thing called MapQuest, which was like Google Maps before Google Maps existed. Put the address in there, and then print out the directions to my school on my inkjet printer, the inkjet printer, and I walked for an hour to get to school under the Las Vegas sun. I think I was actually late my first day because I walked to school. Anyway, I only say that because I really was actually I was that kind of poor. You know, both my parents were working all day and they had multiple jobs and stuff, so I couldn't get a ride to school. Now, during freshman year, because I am a nerd, of course, I end up meeting all the other nerds in the nerdy classes, and I realized that forensics is sort of a big deal, especially for the academic subset in my school. So when it comes to choosing electives for sophomore year, of course I sign up for forensics. And, better late than never, even if I'm starting a year later than basically everyone else. So I go in sophomore year into extemporaneous speech, which I was terrible at, and Lincoln Douglas debate. And guys, it was so much fun. Everyone was super smart, mostly friendly, but more importantly, super dedicated, super serious about and ambitious about what they're doing lots of research, doing lots of practice, huge personalities, a huge variety of personalities. And I had so much fun, honestly, with these guys. I don't want to call out names or anything, but I just remember I have all these scenes of just genuine ridiculousness and wildness and nerdiness and geekiness, and they're still imprinted in my mind. Forensics was just so fun that senior year, and I was learning so much about lots of things, and I was getting directly helped by seniors who had experience with nationals. And luckily, through a combination of all that support that I was getting from this amazing community, this amazing coach, by the way, forgot to shout out the coach, I got to state, the invitational for state as a novice for the novice competition. And if I remember correctly, I did pretty well. I actually don't really remember the details because it's such a long time ago. But yeah, I did pretty well in Lincoln Douglas, and it was fun. It was really, really fun. Simultaneously, though, that year, sophomore year was super important for my development as a leader, for my progression as a leader in my church youth group. And what the situation was as a freshman, our youth group had a bunch of leaders, but they were all seniors. The juniors and sophomores above me weren't really active at church. And also we got this new pastor and everything felt transitional. Things were kind of in turmoil. So when I became a sophomore, all the seniors graduated and there was a big hole in the youth leadership. The leadership actually at that point was really just me and one other sophomore, with some crucial support from the college group, but obviously the youth group is not their main focus. So the youth leaders, and regardless of whether there was a lot of leaders or not, the basic expectation for youth leaders at my church was that they needed to be there every Friday, Saturday, and Sunday to lead worship and all the other things that happen in a church. Well, sophomore year is ending, and I have to choose my electives for junior year. The problem is, varsity forensics also requires me on weekends. Specifically, every couple weekends, 3 or 4 weekends, I need to travel for the invitationals in different parts of the city and the state. And neither side can budge. Okay, so here am I. I can either step up to varsity forensics, okay, from novice forensics, or I can step up in church leadership, but I can't do both. So what if at that time I asked the internet the same questions you guys are asking me? Let me say it, okay? Does church as an extracurricular look good to admissions officers? What if I asked that question to the internet, that time many years ago? Because there are no awards for church. There's no qualifying for nationals at church. I can't write, like in my Common App, I was, top 1% Christian because I churched so good. There's like no television program that's going to publicize my face, my accomplishments for churching like hella hard, right? Or heavenly hard or whatever. If the admissions officers are the good, liberal, atheistic intellectuals that we expect them to be, what would they think if they found out that I went to a charismatic church or a Pentecostal church where the poor and uneducated shriek in group prayer, right? Speaking in tongues, this nonsensical language, crying, being dramatic, sometimes dancing. That doesn't sound smart. There's no guarantee these admissions officers are going to be impressed by. What do I know, right? I'm just a kid. I don't know what these admissions officers are going to think about me if they learn that I genuinely believe in miracles and stuff like that. There's no guarantee of anything. On the flip side, everybody I knew who eventually went to Harvard and Stanford, you know what extracurricular they were doing? It wasn't church. Almost all of them were openly atheist. Take a guess. Which extracurricular did all of the kids in my school who went to Harvard and Stanford, which EC did they do? They all did forensics. So what to do? Like little me, sophomore Saul. What to do? Like, this to me was a huge decision. It felt like the most important decision I ever had to make to that point in my life. In retrospect, maybe, not so much, but at that time, it felt so big. And thank God, thank the godless, algorithmically computed, crowdsourced, cloud calculated skies that actually I'm not that old, that I had the internet and I could ask the internet. So I uploaded a long personal question on thefacebook.com and everybody told me that I should choose forensics. So fast forward 3 years later, I'm in Harvard. I'm a highly regarded atheistic intellectual in debate circles. I've forsaken church. I've chosen forensics. I'm a self-studying quant genius. I'm building an algorithm to obsolete all the back office work and trading. So later on, when I graduate, I can start my own firm, like a boutique firm. And so fast forward like 6 more years later, all my weekend nights are just like these cocaine and ketamine fueled ragers. I'm having tons of sex with anything and everything that's sexable, because you know what? I made a shit ton of money on my boutique firm. I own a condo in Manhattan. All of my friends are just like me. All of their resumes are fucking awesome. I'm living the dream. Thank you, thefacebook.com. Thank you, wisdom of the crowd. Thank you, internet, for telling me what to do. If it weren't for you, how could I have chosen the right extracurricular for me? Forensics. Do you guys see the problem? No? Not obvious? It's, by the way, some of you guys might not be able to tell I'm being sarcastic. I do want to be clear. The problem is not that particular caricature of a life that I created, which, by the way, is kind of real. But anyway, it's not that life is a bad life, okay? It's actually an awesome life. I know people who live that life. That's great. They have a great ton of fun. Whatever, all right? But let me explain what the problem is, okay? The problem with asking this question in the first place is that the internet is not you. It cannot be you. It doesn't know you. It can only talk about external things, the visible things, the things that are that can be measured, counted, tallied, confirmed in the world, facts, averages, statistics. Okay, it can talk about things that have happened in the past, in the recent past, in the distant past, whatever. But it's all in the past as facts. And you know, hopefully they take this, they take the facts and they make some good analysis. This random stranger on the internet. But anytime the internet or some rando on their internet is talking about the future, that person is making an extrapolation from the past of many people. Like if I saw 1,000 as a teacher, right, and as a teacher, counselor, whatever, if I saw 1,000 kids go into Harvard and 10 of them had spent significant time in the church, I could tell you that's only 1%. 10 out of 1,000, that's not a very good stat. The internet doesn't see internal things, though. It doesn't know your values, your beliefs, your desires, your ambitions, your dreams, your hopes. Like, man, woman, you were shaped by your experiences, your circumstances, your parents, your family, your friends, your community, your city, your traditions, your heritage, your culture, your memories, your destiny. And like, these statistics, man, if you so choose, you can change them, man. It's so frustrating when people try to reverse engineer success based on stats. You can change the stats, man. Your decisions change the reality that these little nerds online are fucking like counting and measuring and tallying and debating, right? 10 church leaders went to Harvard out of 1,000. Dude, you can be the 11th. Like, the statistics have no bearing because these are just external realities. The internal truth of like who you are, that is not captured in any of these facts. And the conversation that you are having is not with the general facts of the world. The conversation that you are having is one-on-one. It's you and that admissions officer. Your story matters, dude, guys. Like, so the problem is that you're trying to take these external points of comparison and you're trying to base your decision off of other people's success. And you know what? I don't fully blame you because a lot of people do that and they can live perfectly decent lives. It's fine. Like, I'm not saying that's I'm not saying that comparing the success strategies of others and just like emulating that is bad. It's not going to doom you to like a sort of like a never-ending depression, a depressive cycle or anything like that. Nothing dramatic is going to happen by you being that way. That is one way of making a decision. I just think it's cowardly, you know? What if you have your own beliefs? What if you have your own destiny? Live up to it. Have some courage. Believe your beliefs and doubt your doubts. My decision when I was a sophomore was very simple. Okay, I talked to my forensics coach. I tried to see if there was some wiggle room. I talked to my pastor, tried to see if there was some wiggle room. I didn't get any wiggle room, but I knew what I valued. I knew what I wanted to be, and I knew what I had to do. I prayed. I wanted what I wanted, and I chose my path. I chose the path of the nerd, the path of the one who loves studying, who loves big ideas, big, huge ideas about like the world. I chose the path of one who loves God and who loves people. And I got the life I got. For some of you guys who don't know, I went to University of Chicago. I studied something akin to classics and literature, and here I am, right? And I can look at the statistics of other kids who came out of U Chicago, and I could start comparing my life to their lives. You know, their average income, their seniority in their companies or whatever, and I can start basing other decisions at this moment based on general statistics about people similar to me, but like that doesn't determine the happiness that I feel today or tomorrow, right? With the decisions that I make, with the contentment that I have with the life that I'm leading. Because I have my own story and you guys have your own story too. So listen to it, figure it out. All right. And then when it comes to writing your college application, the essays, I mean, tell your story. I wish I could be honest. I wish I could honestly say that when I was writing my story, I had all this clarity about my values, that I could talk about my Christianity as opposed to whatever. I couldn't. It wasn't that clear in my head. But I could feel it, right? And this feeling led me to a lot of decisions that I will never regret. Theoretically, it's possible that if I had Theoretically, it's possible that if I had taken the forensics route, maybe I would have ended up at a more prestigious university like Harvard or Stanford or whatever, right? But that's like such a non-factor, dude. Like, I had such great friends at Chicago. I had such a amazing intellectual experience just being who I was and just doing what I wanted to do. You know what I mean? I don't know who needs to hear this. I hope, though, that if it connects with you, I hope you take action on this. Okay, that you don't just let this linger in your head, sort of fuzzily, just kind of like noisily clouding your thoughts. I hope that you actually convert this into something action that you can take. Believe your beliefs, doubt your doubts. Don't be a coward. When it comes to an extracurricular, figure out what the value is to you. And make a bet, man. Bet on it. Move forward. All right, that's it for me. All right, guys, I'll see you guys in the next stream or the next video. Until next time, keep on learning, keep on growing. Peace. So there's one other thing I actually forgot to hook back around to. I had told in my earlier story the part about me being actually of like not the most economically privileged background. And the reason I brought that up in my story was to address this point. There is a reality that for me, as someone who had almost nothing to lose, that any path would be better than the path that I was currently on with my, with the situation with my family and my circumstances. that actually makes it easier for me to be quote unquote courageous, right? A lot of my clients, my students, they are in much more privileged positions than I was when I was their age. And so as a result, they feel this really unending pressure to be perfect in everything, right? That they have to sort of like instead of like punching through the ceiling and letting the light of the sky pour in, they're actually just sort of maintaining status quo. And that's the mentality that maybe some of you guys have, just due to your again, your family, your circumstances, your whatever, your context. I don't think that's healthy. I think that even if you are economically privileged, you don't have to be perfect. You don't have to make all the right decisions. If anything, you're actually safer. You can make the wrong decisions and you'll still be able to come and bounce back up. So I want you to take stock. If you have an already privileged life, I want you to take stock of your life and sort of think about the expectations that people are having of you, and think about that status quo, and try to zoom out a little bit and see your situation as the bottom of something that could grow much higher, much taller, much better, much more awesome, right? And what would that be? I want you to actually visualize that, because if you keep on for a really long time stuck in the mentality that you just have to maintain your current position to be impressive to to the other players in your society or whatever, you will not be happy, guys. You just will not. It's okay to take risks. It's okay not to make the best, like always look amazing in every way. It's, like, this is where, again, like the statistics, the statistical approach of trying to reverse engineer success starts becoming really useless for you as someone who's privileged, because actually statistically you're already succeeding. Like, what is there to even work for, right? So think about, define your story for yourself. Okay, zoom out and imagine yourself at the beginning of a journey, and where does that journey lead? Okay, so you can't suddenly be poor, but you can't be poor economically, in the same way that I was, to just suddenly, have a lot more like upside to look forward to. But you can be poor spiritually, let's say, right? Or athletically, or intellectually, or something. And you can aim much, 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 much higher than what your parents are aiming at, than what your consultant is aiming at. What is that? Define that for yourself. All right. Thank you.